Rallies are being held across France to protest against the far right. The demonstrations come ahead of snap parliamentary elections later this month called by President Emmanuel Macron. Anti-racism groups joined French unions to march through the streets of Paris. They fear Marine Le Pen's National Rally Party could lead the first far-right government since the Second World War. French authorities expect hundreds of thousands of demonstrators nationwide. In Lyon, police clashed with protesters who threw fireworks at them. DW correspondent Sonia Farnikar is in Paris. Sonia, what's driving protesters to turn out by the thousands?
Well, these are definitely some of the biggest demonstrations against the far right that we've seen so far ever since President Macron called those snap elections. And we're seeing, reports of thousands of people now, not just in the capital of Paris, but also in the city of Marseille. Earlier today, we saw protests in Bayonne in the south, in Valenciennes in the north. There are big protests planned tomorrow in Lyon as well. And I think what is essentially driving many of these demonstrators to come out in big numbers, I think is both, kind of anger as well as fear that these snap elections could potentially give the far right its best shot at governing France since the Vichy regime of World War II. We have to remember that the far right National Rally, this is a nationalistic populist party which has anti-immigration at its as its main platform, and it spent in the past it has spent decades on the political fringes because its founder was convicted of racism and for denying the Holocaust. And the party today has rebranded itself under Marine Le Pen. It has cleaned up its image, but a lot of speakers today at these rallies said that the far right really hasn't changed its stripes and warned that press freedoms, the right to demonstrate and mobilize in trade unions would even be a threat if the far right came to power.
What is it about the far right in France that has these voters so concerned?
Well, I think the prospect of the National Rally, kind of forming the government and kind of setting the domestic agenda has kind of unsettled many, because even though the far right has not released its full manifesto for this election, it has said that one of its main key points will be immigration. The president of this party, Jordan Bardella, has said that he will, he plans to radically cut immigration, both legal as well as illegal. He's vowed to push through a law enabling the expulsion of what he says are delinquents and Islamists. They're also trying to push kind of protectionist French first policies. So they're doing things like, giving French citizens preference when it comes to accessing social services, childcare benefits. They want to withdraw the right of residency for migrants if they are out of work for more than a year. So I think a lot of these proposals really concern a lot of people. Another thing we heard at these demonstrations today is many speakers warning that the far right is also a threat to women's rights and gender issues. Now, we have seen Marine Le Pen in the past change her position on abortion. She agreed to back a move to anchor abortion rights in the French constitution recently. But she does remain opposed to things like same-sex marriage, same-sex adoption, and surrogacy. And so I think there are a lot of concerns here about what France would look like if they really came to power.
Is all of this having some sort of effect on parties on the left?
Well, we've seen a lot of frenzied negotiations among parties on the left as well as the right in recent days, and we will see that in the coming months as parties kind of jostle to form alliances and really kind of get their campaigns in shape simply because they don't have a lot of time to do that. The first round of this election is already at the end of the month. But yes, on the left, we have seen a deal concerning the centre-left Socialist Party as well as three other parties on the left. They have kind of put aside their divisions over the war in Gaza and Ukraine and said they will unite in an alliance called the Popular Front. They said this is meant to kind of fight what they call the racist project of the far right. They're going head-to-head with the far right and say their aim is to keep them out of power. And there are some lingering tensions in this camp, but this is quite a big deal because if the left does have a strong showing in these elections, it could potentially, alter the makeup of the parliament and also could, halt the far right from getting an absolute majority in parliament.
DW correspondent Sonia Farnikar in Paris.